hanging here and bracelets and such. Those I put on my Santa Muerte effigy so that she can protect them. Okay? She can protect their livelihood, she can protect their business, protect their projects, protect their spirituality, their health, their well-being, all of that. It may seem as if, you know, like it may seem like I'm doing something bad, but I'm not. It's the total opposite. My Santísima Muerte, she's like a curandera. She's a healer. She's a helper. She brings good things by eliminating bad. Okay, so when somebody tends to give me a gift that can be worn or that can be can adorn the body, I tend to give it to her because, for one, she's constantly protecting all the time that I constantly owe her all the time. So I'm constantly in a position of paying her back. So when these things come into my life, these adornments, this jewelry, these things that I can put on her altar, it's perfect timing because, for one, it represents that I care for that person and that I want their safety. And secondly, it represents kind of like a payment for her. And the fact that it was given to me out of the kindness of people's hearts even more so represents a payment system, right? It's worth more to give her the things that I would have liked to have kept for myself. There are so many adornments on this statue that I would have loved to have kept for myself, but they ended up on the effigy. So, you know, like, can I really argue? I can't really argue. Like, look at everything that she's giving me, you know, and look at everything that she's hopefully giving to these people. So far, I have seen this method work. I have seen that she keeps the people safe who gave me these elements. I mean, they don't come into like major harm. You know, they don't come into major events in which they're like seriously maimed or hurt or anything like that. They're kept safe. Whether the people know it or not. These end up on her altar. And quite frankly, that should be a compliment to them. Because this altar for me is sacred. It's my main guide, my main spiritual source. And if they go on the altar, that's like, for me, a sign of holiness. I'm turning their gift into something holy, into something beneficial for everybody involved. I'm not sure if you guys do the same thing. And it's an old technique, you know? It's an old method of doing something extremely simplistic, yet very, very meaningful for you, for the person, and for Santa Muerte. So just wanted to relay that message. And secondly, I've just want to address that no, you don't have to be Mexican to follow Santa Muerte. And nothing about Santa Muerte is closed. If the person that's following her changes it and bad things happen, that's their fault. Let them fall. Okay? If they don't respect the culture that she comes from and they don't respect the methods in which were created over decades and decades and decades and decades, and they want to change stuff around, they want to shift stuff around for their own ego, let them fall. They're going to fall. Every single time they do that, they fall. Have you noticed? Have you noticed a pattern? Let them figure it out the hard way. Let them. She'll show them. She'll teach them. You don't have to speak up for Santa Muerte. She does it herself. You don't have to be her warrior. You don't have to be her guerrero. You know, she does it herself. You don't have to do it. By saying that you have to stick up for her is like saying that she's not powerful enough to stick up for herself. This isn't her first rodeo, guys. She's been around for hundreds of years. You don't have to fend for her, okay? I promise. She's got this. If she wants something handled, she'll handle it. Don't worry. So anywho, stop trying to make shit complicated. Just respect the culture, respect the traditions, and follow the formula. It's really that simple. The moment you try to change it, that's the moment that you fail. So figure it out the hard way if you must. Anywho, talk to you guys later. Okay, so in case you're only just listening, and I'm going to read this to you. Is it true Santa Muerte and Mictecasihuat are not synced and are completely separate as well? Okay, this one's a very, very, very sensitive subject with many people. Even people that I've spoken to personally. I have literally spoken to these people who have owned their own botanicas since the 90s. We brought this up. And I'm just going to tell you what they said. Don't take my word for it. I'm just relaying a message. And one day I'm just going to interview these people so you can see for yourself. Because people don't believe me. But when you ask people that have been doing this at least since the 90s, and then they've been around it, I would say 50% of them say that she does have, that they're like definite that she has a connection to Mictecasihuat. And then the other 50% of them, they believe she's just an angel of God. Those are the answers that I have gotten. So it's really, really hard to answer that question. But I think that that's just the information that I've gotten being here on the border towns of between Texas and Mexico. Those are the answers that I have gotten. My personal take and my personal opinion has changed over the years since 2016. It's changed. I do feel that there are actually more similarities than not. My opinion has begun to change. It's very complex though, and I'll be taking up a lot of your time if I just give you my opinion. But to answer your question, in short, it depends who you talk to, and I know that just leaves you more confused. But I would say that a good percentage of people are going to tell you that they are connected. I'd say a lot of people are going to tell you that. So I've begun to see and believe more and more over time. I'm really beginning to feel that yes, they are. But that's just how I feel, okay? And historically, that's what people say. The majority of people, that's what they say, that yes, they are linked together. But like I said, other ones will say that she's just an angel of God. You know, so that's just my honest answer there. Hi there. It says, can you talk about who her male counterpart is? I'm learning more about her as Mictecasihuat. Would love to hear your thoughts and knowledge. Okay. If we're specifically talking about the Mexica spirit of the dead, there is Mictlandecutli, who is the male spirit of the dead. So I won't necessarily say that that's Santa Muerte's counterpart in the modern sense, but historically, if you read the codexes, he's the one that people often would think of you know, the ruler of the underworld. Most of the veneration went to him, to appease him, to make him happy, to give him the respect. She was just kind of mentioned here and there. So if we're talking like Mexica or Aztec as most know it, he would likely be the one. But nowadays, in this modern adaptation, there is no male counterpart. And honestly, there doesn't have to be. So yeah, there's no male counterpart as Santa Muerte. There's no male counterpart. Just another little spiritual tip. It doesn't always have to apply to Santa Muerte, but for any spirit. Say you wear a necklace that represents your spirit or your deity or your belief. One thing that I've learned, especially if you guys are always like making videos like me, or you're always got interaction with lots of different people, those pendants and those symbols, icons that you wear tend to absorb whatever's in your environment, even if it's through a screen. So for me personally, I start to notice that I get either pinched or itchy around my neck, or I start to feel kind of like nauseated, or I start to feel pressure, or the necklace starts to feel heavy. That's when I take it off and I put it on my Santa Muerte altar and kind of like charge it up, and then put it on like 3 days later. I hope that helps.